Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Yeah. All right. Does anyone else have any other business before we move on to our special guest? I am so happy and so excited that Pamela is with us tonight. She came all the way up from Mobile, y'all.
Oh.
Yeah. So, because she's so excited and excitable and active, I'm gonna let you hear all about her from the candidate herself. Pamela, come on up.
Everyone, good evening. I am so elated and excited about being here. And I'm so thankful that you all thought enough to ask of me to come down and speak with you, meet with you, talk with you, and get to know you. And to know you is to know that Shelby County actually is very energetic. You all, I've been watching on Facebook, and you all actually get out and you're canvassing, you're phone banking, you're helping your candidates, and you're getting your message and platform out. One thing that I do know is that the Republican Party is really at this time on a lazy boy chair or sofa at this time, or either what we may call in the military, a couch potato. And why I say that is because if you notice, we are not seeing any television ads like it was during the primary, and we're not in the runoff as well, and we're not seeing those signs like we did see, like from Miss Katie Britt. I mean, she had every, I believe, Lamar billboard or whatever billboard plastered throughout all 67 counties throughout Alabama. If you've driven the roads, you saw Katie Britt and other Republican candidates. But I want you to know that even in the rural areas where they're closed polling precincts and allowed voters or pretty much permit or allowed or forcing voters to drive further distance than their original polling sites, I think it's very, very important that we take very good initiative in this election forthcoming, making sure that we're getting 10 people is what I am asking of everyone throughout the 67 counties of Alabama to go to the polls and vote. The Republican Party and the Libertarians and Independents and whomever else is really thinking that the Democrats are not going to show up at the polls. Now we have to change that. We have to get more involved. We got to really get out there. I love your steam. I love your energy, but we have to actually reach across county lines, talk with our other county chairs. I'm from Mobile, Alabama, and I can reassure you that Ben Harris, who is the Mobile County Democratic Executive Committee Chair in Mobile County, will be very effective with your county and all 67 counties in Alabama. I think it's very important that we have someone who is in that seat, who is actually going to collectively come together with a plan that is going to be strategic and making sure that we have a plan that's actually going to turn out people to the polls. One thing that I do know that I have seen is many years ago, before I was even thought of, many individuals work 8-hour shifts. I work with the Mobile County Sheriff's Office back home, and we came from 8-hour shifts to 12-hour shifts and longer because we're shorthanded, and sometimes we may have to work 12 hours, 16 hours. Sometimes it might be 3 days, 5 days, however many days, because of shift shortage. You see that in the medical field as well and other fields. But what we see is that a lot of our constituents do not know that they can actually ask their employer ahead of time if they can grant them that 1 hour, which is permissive through Alabama law, to go and vote. A lot of constituents do not know that it is an Alabama law that your employer is to let you off at least 1 hour to go cast your vote, to go vote. And what happens, what we've seen in the past, is that people voters will actually ask their employer, can I have on election day, say coming on this election day in November 8th, can I go at this particular time to go vote, or what will be a permissive time for me to go and vote? They'll say, okay, that'll be okay, and they they'll say, well, we'll let you go around 1 o'clock, and the election day comes up. It's 2 weeks later, then here it is, election day. So they go to the supervisor or the manager and ask, and, is that still okay that I leave at 1 o'clock to go, 12 to go vote, 1 o'clock to go vote? And what happens is what? I'm sorry, I don't have anyone to relieve you. So what happens with that vote? That vote is not cast, okay? And so besides that, it's also too late to do what? Fill out an excused absentee ballot. It's too late for that. So that's a voter where their voice was not heard within our democracy, as it should have been, all right? And I want to just let you know, some of that needs to be changed. And I know that excuse absentee ballot, that's something I want to work on to make it no excuse absentee ballots. I want to fight for early voting on Friday, Saturday, Monday, prior to election day. Many of our voters want to be a part of the democracy, but they have childcare. They have ailing, or they have aging parents in which they are taken care of at home. They have football games. They have to get their son to the games, and they have their daughters are in cheerleading. That everyone's schedule is tight and busy. And so I know that 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to a lot of individuals, if you're not doing anything at home, yes, you got time, you have time to go and vote. But if you have a tight schedule and you're working during the hours of polling operation, it's going to be very hard for you to vote. So I'm just talking about that in a few. So I want to give you something brief about myself, and then we're going to go on from there. I want you to know that I will be your effective voice as Secretary of State for the great state of Alabama. I have the experience as an administrative support professional, and I have the experience working in a fast-paced and challenging environment demanding strong organizational, technical, and interpersonal skills while working under commander support group, command chief, education, and law enforcement leadership. I want you to know that I have strong interpersonal communication skills. I'm ethical and very discreet. I continue the U.S. Air Force core values in integrity, honesty, service before self, and excellence in all that I do. And I'm committed to superior customer service and to meet organizational endeavors. Throughout my career as a military member and a member of law enforcement in the corrections arena, I am presently a corrections sergeant with the Mobile County Metro Jail under the umbrella of the Mobile County Sheriff's Office back home in Mobile, Alabama. I've been there tenure going on 24 years. I have risen through the ranks. I remain confident. I am focused. I'm determined, and I'm paused in interaction with individuals of all levels. And I am very meticulous and resourceful in completing projects and multitask effectively. I am a proud Alabamian. I have dedicated my life to building a brighter future for my community, the great state of Alabama, and our nation. I have attended and I later graduated from Bishop State Community College, where I was elected during my era in early 1990s, 91, 92, as student body freshman class president. I went on to be elected as the president of the Student Government Association, Miss Bishop State Community College, first runner-up to Miss Homecoming, and recognized nationally in the publication of Who's Who among junior colleges and Outstanding Young Woman of America, which is actually Outstanding Young Women of America, 1991. After a brief interruption in my collegiate studies, I went on to graduate from Faulkner University with my Bachelor's of Science degree in business with an emphasis in management. And then later on, I was accepted into the University of Alabama's Manderson School of Business and the Executive Master of Business Administration MBA program. But because of a working conflict, I had to pause that briefly. And then I also received some semester hours from Central Texas College for completion of a United States Air Force Reserves Leadership Development Program. I also completed requirements at Air University for completion of Airman Leadership School, and I am a graduate of the Southwest Alabama Police Academy and was awarded a jail management training certificate in 2016 from the Alabama Jail Training Academy, which was presented to myself by the Mobile County Commissioners. Beyond my education, I did and have served 14 years and 8 months as a member of the United States Air Force Reserves. And during basic military training, BMT, I served in a leadership role as Storm Chief. I was the flight in which I did lead. And I actually helped our TI at that particular time, military training instructor, to receive honor flight, which was WO2 for Best of the Best back on October 12th, 1994, is when we graduated. And I played pivotal roles in the execution of Operations Noble Eagle, Enduring Freedom, and Iraqi Freedom. I excelled in handling tough situations and volunteered many times to provide the critical personnel expertise required to support the mobilization of more than 600 reservists after the terrorist attack on September 11, 2001. I have received numerous awards from the United States Air Force, such as Air Force Commendation Medal, Air Force Outstanding Unit Award with Valor Device, Air Reserve Force Meritorious Service Medal with 2 devices, National Defense Service Medal with 1 device, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Air Force Longevity Service Award, Armed Forces Reserve Medal with 1 M device, and the Air Force Training Ribbon. I was also nominated in 2006 as Sharp Troop and recognized for the accomplishment in the 919 Special Operations Wing Midnight Express publication. I also served as an assistant wing career advisor to the 919 Special Operations Wing career advisor involving counseling, keeping retentions, employment, realignment, goal setting, team building, leadership, etc. As a member of the Mobile County Sheriff's Office, I was awarded numerous awards as well. And then I want you to know that I am a member of the Corpus Christi Catholic Church back home in Mobile, Alabama. And also I'm a member of the Alabama Democratic Party. I am also a part of and a member of the State Democratic Executive Committee. This is my 2nd round and I was there this past Saturday in our long meeting. Now, going on to my platform a little bit more in detail. I want you to know that I believe in Alabama, I believe in our voters, and I believe in the Democratic Party. I believe that we should have early voting. Let me back up before I go to early voting. I believe and I want you to know that I want automatic voter registration. I really want that.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe and I know I believe in our voters. I know they want to go to the polls and vote. And whatever reason it is, our voter turnout is really poor when you rank with other states within our nation. And I want to see early voting. I want to see it on Friday, Saturday, and Monday prior to election. And I believe that it will work phenomenal. I do not think that we need to pay any overtime for that because I know a lot of individuals will probably want to be in great concern as to the overtime, the budget. I believe that if we have office management and anyone within the office management arena throughout the 67 counties will be able to say, hey, well, where that Lisa or Terry or Tim or whomever take one of these days off during the week so that we can cover that Saturday. I think that's fair enough to ask, okay? And we would only have the same hours that we have now, which is what, 8 to 5. And I believe it can be done. It can be done, okay? I know some people might say that, are we gonna have mail-in, where individuals or voters be mailing in their ballots? I believe that if you just go in person and you vote, I think that will suffice enough in order for us to maintain election integrity, okay? That is one of the biggest statements that I have heard lately is about election integrity. Have you all heard this election integrity? It's not just only in Alabama, it's across the nation, all right? Because of a certain statement where a lot of states did not actually, or counties go through election integrity being compromised, so to speak. I believe and I want to say that our elderly and handicapped, I believe they need to be allowed to be authorized curbside voting. I know that my opponent, Mr. Allen, was very instrumental, very busy as a dean, writing different bills to block early voting. His last bill that he has written, we'll get into that a little bit, later. But I believe hopefully that we can amend that bill of early voting not being allowed or permissible in Alabama, where we will allow our elderly and handicapped voters with proper medical paperwork that will be notarized from their physician and it's verified, the proper procedures and way that we're having written up, and that they will just drive up and they will actually go ahead and show their credentials and vote, all right? And I know some counties are very nice enough to say, have it written in that if you have someone who can barely stand, an elderly voter, or someone who has medical problems, that they can come to the front of the line. But sometimes some individuals may become winded, and it's a lot on them walking from the car with their oxygen that they have, and et cetera. So I believe that we need to be a little bit kinder to our elderly voters as well as those who have medical disabilities and who are handicapped. I believe that I want Alabama to consider joining 28 other states to change Alabama's absentee excuse voting. I want to see a change to no excuse absentee voting. Last election, and I did receive some feedback, all right? And it was stated that those individuals who did fill out or complete in its entirety the excuse absentee ballot, some of those ballots were not counted because they did not check a reason why they were actually voting excuse absentee ballot. So if that is not checked, that one of those boxes, then it's going to be what? Not counted. All right, it's not going to be counted. I believe that our ex-offenders should have their voting rights restored immediately after they have been. I believe that they have served their time, so give them the ballot. And I say that Alabama should not continue to punish individuals forever. Once a prisoner is released from the Department of Corrections, state custody, or Bureau of Prisons, which is federal custody, immediately restore a prisoner's right to vote. Prisoners being released need to feel a part of belonging to the community, which gives an individual self-worth, so they will become productive citizens and not be a participant in recidivism and an occupant in an overcrowded jail and or prison. And as we know, as of today, the prison system is what? Overpopulated. And right now our jail, I mean ours is as well, is overpopulated. And I believe with this recidivism, there'll be more into law enforcement talk, but what I see is that once someone is released from prison and they go back into the community, some individuals, male or female, they're having a hard time to readjust. So what they do, because they cannot find employment, because they have the stigma where they can't vote, now it's dependent on the charge because of the moral turpitude. The legislators had changed it some years back, not too much long ago, where they have identified what charges actually is going to be considered under moral turpitude, where their voting rights have been taken away. But those voting rights those individuals whose voting rights have been taken away, I want to see, once they exit the corrections arena, the field, the grounds, I want to see their voting rights restored immediately, because right now they're going through a lot of red tape. They have to make sure all their fines are paid before so much red tape one has to go through before they have their voting rights restored. And I want to see that done. Also, I believe in election integrity. And after Alabama does not have an audit after each election. So many know my opponent, and so many Republicans are screaming and yelling about election integrity, but we don't hear them saying anything about an audit to make sure that each voter's vote was actually counted. Because we don't know, there might be something going on that we don't know anything about, where a lot of individuals' votes or voters' votes may not be counted. And they say they are, but there's too much hype about election integrity. So I think that we need to have an election audit, okay, after each election. And I will fight for voter education and voter registration. Right now, with the last bill that was passed by my opponent, the Zuckerberg, bill, ring a bell to each and every one. A lot of organizations, the League of Women Voters, organizations on college campuses, universities, just in our, counties, they're not, in the Secretary of State's office and also the probate judge's office, board of registrar's office, it's not permissible to receive monies from independents anymore, or individuals. Did I say it right, Ms. Marsh? Individuals, okay. And so if you do receive the said money, you will be charged and you will be placed on docket and you have to go before a judge. In other words, you will be arrested, okay? So it brings me to this. It gives me great concern as to how the Secretary of State's office is actually going to educate the voters across the state of Alabama. How are we going to get our message out about voter registration and voter education? Because right now, the funds are going to, from that particular arena, has been clipped. Okay, it has been clipped. Also, I want to study a little bit more. There's nothing wrong about studying because I'm gonna tell you, I'm not a person that says I know everything because none of us know everything. You do, I need to talk to you, see how you know everything. But I want to learn a little bit more as to how the Secretary of State's office is actually going to be able to help organizations such as the League of Women Voters. How are you going to be able to help the organizations on the college campuses to get the young people, the students involved, the young people involved? I want to know a little bit more as to how are you going to pay the poll workers at the polls. And the reason why I said that, because I don't know if you all know it or not, my opponent, Wes Allen, has said that he wants what's called heroes at the polls. The heroes at the polls are actually military veterans, where he wants them to sign up in all 67 counties to the probate judge's office as being a poll worker. He believes that these individuals are veterans who will sign up. They have served their time in the military and they will actually make sure that the integrity of the election process will be intact, okay? And so with that being in one thought line of mine, so that brings me to this. If he right now has already written a bill, had it passed, it's enacted into law, signed by the governor, etc., and now he's talking about heroes at the polls working for free. He doesn't want to pay them. So he wants veterans who have actually served their country, but he wants them to go to the polls, work for free, and then make sure the election process and the integrity of the election process is intact, okay? So going on a little further from there, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't add up. So my next question is, how are our poll workers going to be paid? Okay, we have to know that monies are not coming out of the budget that is set by our legislators in Montgomery. Okay, our office, the Secretary of State's office, is running off of the revenue expenses that is actually coming in via general. All right, so I want to look into that a little bit more. I want you all to know that I am going to fight this new bill that has actually been written out. The Republicans had their meeting this past weekend, and actually this bill was written prior to their meeting last weekend for open and closed primary elections. All right, they want open and closed primary elections because they believe many Democrats crossed over and voted in the Republican line, but one of the Republicans that were actually on the ballot to keep whomever from getting voted. I don't want to call any names because I don't know that to be true or not, okay? but this is what conversations they have been having. So they want to have right now we have open election, primary elections, they want to close them. So if that bill is passed in Montgomery, that's why it's important to get Mr. Prince there in office, so that he can be a voice for us to block that bill. Because if that bill passes, that means it closes, our voter turnout is already low, and you want to, okay, this voter right now is saying, hey, I couldn't get off of work to go and vote, but wait a minute, I get to the polls and I got off, this other voter go to the poll and say hypothetically, they get to the polling site and they say, no, I'm sorry, ma'am or sir, you can't vote because you didn't register with either the Republican Party or Democrat Party. What is that voter going to do? Some, they get discouraged, they're going to get back in their car and go what, back home or work or wherever their next destination may be. So I say that because our voter turnout is already low. We do not need anything else to distract our voters. We do not need anything else that's going to hinder a voter from going to that poll to be a participant in our democracy, to have their voices heard. So if that bill passes, I think it will be bad actually for that voter, him or herself, because I think right now that when a voter, say someone is looking for employment, right now, the Human Resources Division, they do their background check. After they do their background check, they're checking what? Social media. After they check social media, that might be one more avenue they check to see what party are you registered with. Okay, and so what happens if you have a Republican CEO or a Republican manager that's thinking about hiring you on and find out that you are a Democrat? What would happen? Because this is an at-will working state. They can hire you, fire you for whatever reason, do not have to give you a reason why. What would happen if they find out you have the education, you have the training, you have the expertise, you have the right temperament, you blew the interview out of the water and et cetera, but that one call where they check to see what political party you are registered with, and you are registered with probably the Democratic Party and not with their party, they're going to say, ma'am, I'm sorry, the position has been filled. That's how some individuals' mindset is. I'm sorry, but that's the next avenue that I will probably, I'm foreseeing, which is a form of what? Discrimination. Okay? And I think that's an avenue that we don't need to actually open up. I am looking at a lot of election subversions that are actually going on. Election subversions is a new tactic by the the GOP, the Republican Party, which is actually hindering the process of the election process to go forward. And I want to see that also make sure, because firearms in the state of Alabama, and we all know that now this is a permitless to carry state. Did I say that right? I did. So what I'm afraid of is also, you're going to have a military veteran sign up, be at the polls, and they're going to have a firearm on them. Do you think it's going to be in plain view? Yes. Do you think that's going to intimidate voters coming to the polls? Yes. Okay. So I would like to see how the bill will be, if a bill will be amended, if the bill will be amended where firearms are not permissible on school campuses, governmental buildings, inside, outside, etc. I think it is written up in such way. Do you know, Prince? Have they written it up that way? I don't think they did.
Yeah, I think we just leave it that.
I think it's just open. So that right can carry and find you, but that is something that I would like to look into as well, because if we're going to have veterans, and some of our veterans have PTSD, some have mental problems. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on with veterans, because a lot of veterans are not going to actually sign up and work for free. I'm sorry. It's they served our country, but I believe some of them are not receiving their benefits as they should. And I believe that we should compensate them if they are going to be poll workers at the polls. We already have our sheriff's department, our local, law enforcement officers who are under the umbrella of their police chief or their sheriff back home in their county or city, to actually go to each polling precinct to make sure that the election integrity is upheld and in place and nothing is going on that is wrong. Also, I want to let you know that there is the ERIC system, Electronic Registration Information Center. My opponent wants to get rid of it as soon as he's elected. He thinks as soon as he's elected, he wants to do away with it. Now, what is his backup plan? I don't know. Because if you are going to actually go into the office of the Secretary of State and do away with the ERIC system your first day as being elected, I would like to know, what is your background? Your backup plan? Because in the military, in the law enforcement arena, you have to have a backup plan. You have to have a plan A, a plan B, and sometimes you have to have a plan C. So I would like to study this a little bit more. If it's a win-win, actually for the voters and also for Alabama, I will actually keep it. It is said that for maintenance, upkeep, et cetera, that the state pays $25,000 yearly for membership dues along with other states. It does talk from one state to the next, and it is actually said that they take your information that is actually from when you go in, like your driver's license and your vehicle registration, et cetera. So it talks amongst the states. And I want to make sure that you know that as your Secretary of State, that I will have accuracy, efficiency, transparency, and accountability as your chief file manager for the great state of Alabama. And I want your support. I need your support. And I need everyone to know this. I can stand here and utter all what I have uttered to you and much more. There's so much more that I want to bring to you, but it would not be enough time in this setting, okay? So I do have my campaign website. It is on the back of my push card that you can keep up and read and see what's actually going on with my platform across the state, with the office itself as Secretary of State. But also, I need everyone to know, I need Mr. Prince. I need more Democrats as a senator and also a House of Representatives member. Because if I want to get or have early voting here in Alabama, I have to have Mr. Prince and many more Democrats standing side by side, saying we need this, this is what the voters need in order for it to get passed. If I don't have Mr. Prince and other Democrats who are in the House, the upper and lower chambers in Montgomery, and that's the same as with Congress. We need Dr. Will Boyd. We need Ms. Hall. We need Rick Neighbors. Yes. We need
Rogers.
yes. We need, because when the president is elected, this is the time that we have the support that the president will need when he or she is elected in the near future. If we allow, say, Katie Britt to go to be elected and fill those shoes or that seat of the U.S. Senator Richard Shelby, then our next president, hopefully who is a Democrat, they will be seen as a lame duck president because why? He does not, or she does not, the president does not have the will of getting what they want their agenda passed in their Congress. So we have to make sure that we are electing Democrats up and down the ballot, okay? I'm asking for your support. I'm asking for you to please have at least 10 people in mind. Look in your family, look on your jobs, look in your community, look in your organizations, etc., and encourage 10 people to go to the polls and vote. Most importantly, check and make sure that they know where to go and vote. Because the lines before qualifying this time around, I had to move from one district to another district, and many voters are stating that they also moved from one district to another district. So to save time on election day and frustration,
please encourage everyone that you encourage to go to the polls and vote, to check with the Secretary of State's website to make sure that they know where they're going to actually vote, okay? From there, I just want you to know that I believe in each and every one of you all. I believe in Alabama, and I believe in the voters will turn out on the Tuesday, November 8th. We need to make sure, I heard you all talking about phone banking, that is also in the candidate team, poll workers, poll greeters, poll watchers, driving voters to the polls, just getting involved. All right, getting involved, and please share that also about Alabama. It is law that the board does grant you that 1 hour to go to the polls and vote. But we have to be courteous with our board too, because we don't want, because it's after the work is safe, go back and then you're not employed. So you have to be careful about how you ask, can you go vote? But I thank you for allowing me to join you all this evening, and I hope to be back, hopefully canvassing, doing something energetic with you all in the community. But I thank you very much, and happy voting, okay?
I'm 100% behind you, and I think you did a very good job of telling the views and all that. I have one question to ask. And so many people have been purged off of the road, and they have not been notified that they have been purged. What can we do as a Secretary of State or whatever to let those people know that they have been purged off of the voting rolls? Because like I said, they find out I've been purged, so they say, well, I'm just going to give up, and they need to know that they can go back and re-register and stuff like that. So if I hope it's appropriate for me to ask that question.
It is appropriate for you to ask that question, because the ERIC system that I'm speaking of, the opponent also sees it as like a cleansing system. And what happens is that after so many times of a voter not voting, then they go into almost that purge, or they are purged. But before they are taken off the voter roll, it is said that they're supposed to have some form of written notification that they will be taken or removed from the voter roll, okay, before they're automatically taken off. If they are taken off the voter roll, there is a process in which that voter can go back, and it's like a reapply, like registering again, in order to be placed back on the roll. But they are supposed to receive notification.
Well, a lot of people that I've talked to haven't received that notification, and we need to put emphasis on when we go out canvassing and stuff like that, to let the people know that you know, they can go ahead and vote. I really don't think that people should be purged. I think once you get voted, you should be a voter for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Unless you do. I know we let you.
Thank you. You're a wonderful lady, and you got my vote, and I'm really going to praise you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Are there any more questions? Are there any more questions?
Well, I think I remember seeing something on the news this week about, I think the Secretary of State office is about to purge some names from the list. I think I heard of that. So as I told people this last month, I was actually removed from the, well, I was made inactive in the list back in 2020. So I just happened to check it before I went to vote, and then I got it corrected before I went to vote.
Right.
I want to let everyone just remember this now, between now and November 8th. Please remember to go to the Secretary of State site and check.
Good check.
And me too, Mike. I voted every election, so there's no reason to make me an active voter.
And they didn't notify you.
Can you go ahead and repeat questions in the mic
Well,
so that the people,
Just checking it on my own.
okay. If you're gonna speak, you need to stand up and
Oh,
stand
I'm sorry.
close to the laptop or close to the mic. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I know that the people on the Zoom are not gonna hear any of the stuff that's happening in the audience unless Pamela repeats the question.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I hope, can they hear me? They can hear me? Okay, the first question was about the purge, the voters who are being purged from the list. And actually, with voters being purged from the list, they are not to be removed from the list, should not be removed from those lists. The way that the law is written is that those individuals need to be contacted, at least by written communication, that they will be possibly removed from the list. But what has happened is that a lot of voters have been made and have been removed from the list. I don't know if that's because of the new ERIC system that they have or what. Let's make sure that everyone knows that they are to check the Secretary of State's website to make sure, either their local board registrar's office to make sure, or the probate judge's office, because of how their websites are designed, to make sure that you're an active voter. Okay, all right.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you all, and we have to get everyone energized into the polls, because right now, the Secretary of State's office said we have over 3 million voters. In the primary election, only over 800,000 individuals throughout the entire state voted, and in the runoff election, only a little over 400,000 voters showed up at the polls. So that tells you what, that Alabama has poor and low voter turnout. And I think that is very sad, because we actually had Alabama that was actually shown back in 1965 before then the Honorable the President Lyndon Johnson signed the Voters Act into law, because of what actually happened with people marching in Selma, Alabama, at the Edmund Pettus Bridge for voting whites. And I think right now today that those individuals who were our foot soldiers during that time with the late Dr. Martin Luther King and so many more, I feel that their souls and their voices are still echoed today from that bridge. And I know that right now today that it's very sad and heartbreaking that so many people have not taken the initiative and they do not care about their democracy, their voice, and going to the polls and vote. But I think it's very important that we get up on election day, go to the polls and vote. I like what the NBA has done. They will not have any games on that day, because they want everyone to be encouraged across the nation to go to the polls and vote. Okay, all right, thank you all. We can do a lot, our little group, to stir up voter enthusiasm by being enthusiastic campaigners, okay? And being willing to do like our candidates do and drive all over the hecking gone in our county to increase our voters' enthusiasm, so they'll get out to the polls and vote. With that, is there any other business? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Cheryl Fox moved that, and I think Annie seconded. Any discussion? This meeting is adjourned.
Good to see you. Good to see you.